Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs. Obviously, it's already been too spooky September with the release of Outlast, which I have not played, but I've heard only good things about, and of course, frightening things about. But Amnesia, a Machine for Pigs, obviously the pseudo-sequel to Amnesia, The Dark Descent, published by Frictional Games. This is not actually developed by Frictional Games, though. They went out of house and, I guess, solicited the Chinese Room to make this game, and you may know the Chinese Room from their work on Dear Esther. So, admittedly, I do get spooked really easily by horror games, but this is, I'm going to be retreading area that I've already gone over in this video. We're going to show, like, the first half hour of the game, roughly. I'm going to talk about my thoughts, and admittedly, I have not played much of Amnesia, The Dark Descent. What tripped me up when I played it was not necessarily that it was super scary, which it was, admittedly, the little I played, but I also got, like, hung up on the puzzles really, really quickly, the inventory management and stuff like that, that kind of made Amnesia as much of an adventure game as it did a horror game. A Machine for Pigs, I'm very pleased to say, is not like that at all. There's no inventory management. It's gonna probably bum a lot of people out. But from the little I played of the original game, the predecessor, if you will, A Machine for Pigs does make some very welcome deviations from that formula that at least make it a much more palatable experience for me personally. But without further ado, we'll talk about our thoughts as we get in here. Let's click Start New Game. It'll probably erase my earlier stuff. And there's quite a lot of voice work in the game. I would be loath to talk over it, because, you know, this is like the worst way to experience a game like this. I've been looking at the comments for a lot of these Amnesia videos, and inevitably it all becomes about, like, horror face cam Let's Players versus non-horror Let's Play face cammers. It doesn't matter. I don't care what kind of content you like. Like whatever content you like, watch whatever content you like. Just, if possible, at least, I would prefer if you could keep that riffraff out of the comments section. But what I am going to say here is that, you know, this is the way that is probably the worst to experience the game. If you're interested in playing this game, don't watch any videos. You're going to ruin the atmosphere for yourself. Just play it yourself instead. If you're kind of on the fence, watch the video, and you'll see if you kind of like the tone that the game is hitting at, is what I'm hoping to get across here. So if I remember correctly, we should be starting with an opening cutscene, or at the very least, some opening dialogue. There will be a lot of reading that I have to do over the course of this video as well. Don't expect me to get too scared, though, because, again, I've already gone through a lot of the stuff that we've seen so far. Opening quote to set the tone: "He who makes a beast of himself removes himself from the pain of being human." Lots of quotes that we will see in the game. Again, kind of setting the theme and setting the tone that we're going to come across.
Daddy, please don't kill me.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm just going to be quiet because the game's trying to build a moment here, and I want to have respect for that. Sounds like me after walking up a flight of stairs. Alright, so that's going to serve as kind of the opening for Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs. The game is not, at least in the experience that I've had so far, which is about 2.5 hours, honestly. I played a lot of this game, you know, relative to its overall length. I know Red Panda Gamer finished it, and he said it was about 4 hours long, all told. So, you know, I've definitely played over half. It's not formally split up into chapters or anything like that. There are areas that are kind of gated and give loading screens. But it's very much a linear game as well. There are kind of secret passages and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily the situation that this is an open world game. And the puzzle solving elements are definitely kind of much diminished in this versus how they were in the original game, at least, again, the little I played of it. So we're going to go through kind of like the tutorialization aspect of the game here. I'm going to read the journal entries just to kind of give more of a feel. Obviously, I'm using my best spooky voice as we speak. "In my dreams, I see a man dressed in jaguar skins and feathered like a blooded saint. What came from the heart lubricated us. It crushed evil under its tread and liberated us all. The faded heart of the jungle mirrored somewhere behind my forehead. My temple pounds, the blood boils in my skull. It feels as if there's something alive there. A rat, a damn rat gnawing through my brains, eating its way out into the world. Even the laudanum will not quell its endless hunger. I hear my children playing in the attic, but it fills me with terror, not love. What desperate thoughts are these? So, to set the stage a little bit, I'll turn on the light just so you can see. I'm going to try to brighten this video in post just so you can kind of understand what's going on. But we were playing as a man who I believe goes by the name of Oliver Mandis. And the central premise of the story, because we're not going to see a whole bunch of it, is that we are a wealthy kind of meat processing impresario in London, England. Now, I have kind of a mysterious past. I took a trip to Mexico at some point, or at least I think I took a trip to Mexico, and something unthinkable happened and mystical happened. And that's all I know about that so far. And also, we built a factory in London, which is designed to process meat. And, that is the quote-unquote machine for pigs. So the way that the game kind of pulls you along, at least so far, is... We'll just take this chair and say, fuck you, chair. But the way that the story pulls you along is that essentially we are looking for our children right now. So if you've not played Amnesia before, or not heard of it, you are among, like the 0.1% of the YouTube gaming population. It's a first-person horror game, slash adventure game, slash puzzler. Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs is definitely decidedly more on the side of a horror game. Not that Amnesia The Dark Descent wasn't, but it removes a lot of those adventure and puzzle elements, and I think it's a lot better as a result of it. At least it's a lot better for my personal preference. Never fear if the darkness is getting to you for now. We will get a lantern soon enough. One of the things you may notice, okay, that door is not openable right now, is that at present, we currently lack an insanity meter, or a sanity meter, as well as any form of inventory. This persists throughout the entire game. You never get a sanity meter. A big aspect of the original... that door doesn't open either, so we have to go up into the attic. But a big aspect of the original was maintaining your sanity so that you didn't go crazy and cause yourself to, I guess, fail a mission. Oh god, we just saw something move there. That did admittedly spook me a little bit. So now we have the lantern, and we can just pull the lantern out, and now we can see a little bit better, which is nice. So this is very much a tutorialized aspect of the game. Let me pull up my journal here. But they slept in the attic when they were babies in arms, and perhaps they have hidden there now. I remember I insisted upon it midway between my bedroom and my office. I wake alone to a house in silence. That missing sound of children playing is like a dark and fecund sepulchre, beckoning me to begin a descent to the loam where surely only bodies may be found. No matter, my children call and I shall answer. I will find them. So, this is setting a very sinister tone to start with here. This is definitely not like, man starts out and everything's going pretty well. By the way, that pig mask is a motif that you will see coming up a lot. But this is definitely not like man's having a good time and then all of a sudden everything goes dark and things change. This is much more a game where things kind of are relentlessly eerie. And I will say, there are jump scares in the time that I spent with Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs so far. But if you're the kind of person who gets creeped out by jump scares, that's fine. You're going to be spooked by a lot of the stuff in this game. But additionally, we can go through here and get some new journal entries. I'm not going to read this just yet because I want to finish my point. But additionally, this is a game that is much less about like sheer terror, like visceral terror in the environment, as it is things that just like creep into your mind. It takes you through some truly kind of horrific environments, but oftentimes the horror actually exists in your own machinations and thinking like, what could this room be for? Like, why are all these cages here? Why is there blood on the floor now when I entered this room the first time there wasn't? So it's a game that definitely you're your own worst enemy when you play. So their diaries here. Daddy says there won't be a Christmas this year. He is much too busy. Nanny says we must not disturb him. He is ever so busy. He is gone for work before she wakes us, and often we are asleep before he returns. We found a bird in the garden with a broken wing. We gave it to Nanny, who said it was a filthy thing and hit it with a rolling pin. Later, we crept downstairs to bury the body when everyone was asleep. There was a pig in the garden. We heard it snuffing about. Then Daddy came and said we had to come inside straight away. He was furious, but we think he'd been crying again. So obviously, that diary entry is about us. These kids are going through some stuff, and obviously we're kind of the impetus for that as their father. So clearly we're living kind of a troubled life here. I'm not sure this is the right way to go, actually. I have gotten lost a couple times, which is kind of pathetic because it is basically linear. I think there's a part up here where I can go crouch. But yeah, overall my impressions of Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs so far are actually very positive. I think this is a game... Red Panda Gamer was talking to me. We're talking about it. I think he's right. in that I think this game's going to get a little bit of a backlash from people who loved Amnesia the Dark Descent, because this is a little bit different in the way that it handles basically everything. We can move this if we want to. Oh, that opens up the secret passage for us. Good. It is a little bit different in the way that it handles things. Like I said, much less about kind of visceral fear as it is about eeriness and atmosphere. Not that Amnesia the Dark Descent was an on-atmospheric game or anything like that. Quite the contrary. How am I supposed to... I know I'm supposed to get through here. One second. I think I just pull this into this little crevice here. Okay. But yeah, this is much more a game. It almost, and this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but not so much when you remember that this is done by the Chinese room who did do it, Dear Esther. Reminds me a little bit of Gone Home, in all honesty, in the sense that, we're exploring this house, and do things happen? Yeah, absolutely. Things go horribly wrong, and we're going to be witness to some truly horrific stuff. But it's also almost just as much about the kind of story of this guy and his kids, and not in a as introspective a way as Gone Home was, but in a horrific way. It reminds me a lot more of movies like the original Alien, I guess, than movies like Aliens. Maybe this is an apt example or comparison, because, obviously Alien is a lot creepier. Alien's probably a lot more viscerally horrifying. There's a lot more action that goes on. And of course, you get out of the game, or a game like this, what you put in. There's lots of kind of found cylinders that we can find and stuff like that that will kind of change and alter our experience in the game. By cylinders, I mean like audio cylinders that we can put into a gramophone, for example. There have been puzzles that I've come across, but they've been very, very simple. No longer is it like try everything in your inventory on everything else. Much more just like, there's a fuse missing, go find the fuse, put the fuse in here. There's no inventory, there's no HUD, there's no health meter, there's no lantern oil. It's very much more about the kind of pure experience of exploration and the terror that comes from the unknown, essentially, as well as wondering what that unknown could hold. So let's play this audio cylinder here, and I'll be quiet.
You don't mind if I record this, do you? I find it most useful.
Ah, you have one of those wonderful Martin pills. No, of course not, my dear fellow.
It's my own design, Professor, along with everything you see.
Most useful. You understand, of course, why the Ministry sent me. That they have concerns.
All right, so we're going to pick up snippets of the story from these audio cylinders, but what's really good, and also the found journal entries, of course, and our own diary, which we keep as we go. But what's kind of interesting is that these don't just tell a story of exposition, they also serve to enhance the atmosphere, because, well, right now, it seems like it's just going to be like, oh, they're slowly going to unravel the story of these two guys talking, and we'll learn more as each one goes on. That frightened me a little bit there. Prepare for a lot of shaking like that. That's one of the jump scares that comes up now and then. But it might seem like, it's just going to be exposition that comes out as a result of that. It's not, because eventually the game gets much more bizarre and much more kind of surreal, in the sense that you can't tell if what you're experiencing is real or a hallucination, or if what you're experiencing is actually, like, literally happening, or, if the conversations they're having are really happening with another person, or if they're happening inside your mind. We also come across a lot of these phones here, which I love because they kind of break up the tension of Amnesia. This guy looks like a face, like a really smiling or shocked face. I enjoy that.
Hello? Precious eagle cactus fruit. Help us.
All right, so that's, another example of some fairly surreal dialogue. Is this a journal entry? It's not, but I can skip something here. Normally this will take you a little bit to figure out, but there is just this gun on the wall. If you just play with this gun, you can open a secret passage. So another influence for the game, I'm not sure if it's an influence for the game, but another thing that the game feels very scary, another thing that the game feels very reminiscent of is kind of this book, House of Leaves, which I know is a very popular book that a lot of people are probably familiar with, but there's a lot of secret passages. The architecture of the house that you're in, oftentimes it doesn't feel like it makes sense. Like, you'll walk down into the basement and then you'll realize, I've been walking for like half an hour. The basement can't possibly literally be this big. It's kind of this impossible architecture that creeps me out a lot. Like, you could be lost in those labyrinths. Basically, like the TARDIS, It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. So Clockwork in the Soul is the name of this entry. Replacement is dissatisfactory, so like a pump. Better than the intestinal canal, like a tapeworm. Already hosting intrusion in the breed. Brass better than copper, more resistant. Filaments sewn to bone hold. Marrow pipe removal with needle potential. Composite replacement straightforward. Will respond to electromagnetic inducement to increase yield rate. Serum provides accelerated resetting, resulting in naturalized movement within 2 to 3 days. Subjects still require severing of frontal lobes to reduce emotional distress upon reactivation. Damn it, damn it, damn this wretched soul. If only it were like clockwork. You gain hints to what is happening. By the way, these like mirrors and windows scare the shit out of me. But you gain hints into the kind of work that Mandus is doing over the course of the game. And certainly there does seem to be an element of reanimation.
This dawning epoch, this age of reason, an empire grown fat, ripe for the bleeding.
Yeah, there does seem to be an element of certainly reanimation, as well as like the Age of Enlightenment. I'm not sure if that's the correct term for this era in history. The Industrial Revolution basically is happening over the course of this game, and we're at the forefront of that. And it's kind of like a major theme is, you know, is it right to play God, to put it in like really basal terms? Like, is what we're doing good for science, or is it an abomination? We don't really know what we're doing. I mean, obviously, at some point, Oliver Mandus did, but I don't, at least as of yet. So this should be like, basically like the tutorial of the game is done, and we're going to get into a new area. And again, even the loading screens are full of flavor text that will actually help us out a little bit here in understanding the theme of the game. And this is definitely a game where I hate to get on a soapbox about this, I really do, but it reminds me a lot of Gone Home in that, you know, seeing people like let's play it and kind of scream over the dialogue and the mood, it kind of feels like it ruins it. And don't get me wrong, I understand the value in you know, watching someone else get scared. It's hilarious. But it does seem to me that this is the kind of game where your experience with it is going to improve a lot if you go in not knowing anything.
This way, Papa. Come and see.
And your experience is going to really suffer a little bit if you treat this as a lot of people treat horror games, which is just as like a fountain for hilarity, like a fountain for basically like amusement and watching other people's reactions. That's fine, you know, again, whatever content you kind of like, I'm not going to get snobby about it. But I hope that a lot of people see the game as kind of in the same way as Gone Home, as kind of like a narrative adventure that they should take by themselves and kind of unadulterated for the first time. I'm sure this is going to get played all the time on YouTube, and there's genuinely scary moments. There are, oh god, there are times when, you know, you're going to encounter moments that were similar to moments that I've seen in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, where, you know, there may or may not be creatures like that one that you have to avoid and kind of stealthily work your way around. This audio cue is scaring the bejesus out of me. That being said, it definitely, like, it functions really, really well as kind of like a storytelling game as well. Again, to compare it to Gone Home or Dear Esther. So I really feel like this is a departure from, and oh, I didn't notice that in my first playthrough. This is definitely a bust of a man in a jaguar head. We read the journal article earlier. Again, you get out of it what you put in. I'm not necessarily going on record as saying that I think Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs is as good as Gone Home, or if or saying that it's even good. But what I will say is that I've really enjoyed the time that I've spent with it so far. It is deeply scary and deeply creepy, in my opinion. But I am easily spooked by these kinds of things, and I know not everyone is. I think if you go into this game assuming that you know, the point of it is to prove that you're a man and, like, not be scared, you can definitely go through this game without screaming like a little girl, although I can't. But I don't think that's the point of the game. I think it's much more valuable to kind of immerse yourself in the story and let yourself kind of go with it a little bit. I don't know if I'm even being logical here. It's very hard to critique a horror game because, you know, mechanically it totally works. It's very simple. The puzzles are totally simple. The game is not a challenge. It's not particularly long, at least if Red Panda Gamer is led to believe. I'm over halfway through it on my existing save then. Although I have been consistently alt-tabbing to check Twitter and look at pictures of cute cats to take myself out of the experience. But, you know, it's $20. It's pretty short. A lot of people are going to have a problem with that. I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with the fact that it's a little bit less gamey than The Dark Descent was. I still have been enjoying my time with it immensely, and, you know, I think of it almost as akin to a horror version of Gone Home, and it is deeply effective in scaring the bejesus out of me when I let myself get scared, which I think is, you know, kind of the right way to deal with this stuff. There is a moment coming up that I am a little concerned about, because I think that we're going to get jump scared when we open this door. I hate to ruin this moment, but I'll try to open that up. Can I open this up? I don't know. I, like, walked backwards from it. Hey, push it open. Yeah, there we go. So that thing screams at me. Oh, man. A little scary. Too spooky. September continues. I think we can actually go outside a little bit here. We did get kind of a glimpse back in there into the quote-unquote machine for pigs, basically the meat processing factory, where I've spent much of my time with the game so far, and again, the real terror comes from, you know, going through that factory and seeing these machines and being like, what the heck is this for? And then you'll see, like, you know, a shadow out of the corner of your eye that doesn't look like it's caused by just like an ambient object in the environment. It's certainly caused by something kind of deliberately moving around. And then you'll come across, you know, like, I don't know, some kind of disemboweled animal or something. And then you're like, wait a minute, this looks pretty fresh. To take us out of the moment here for a second, I know that both Nick and Rob played pool with a chair when they were playing Amnesia, so far be it from me to buck the trend here. See, where's the 8-ball? 8-ball in the corner pocket. Are these all stripes? What's wrong with this pool table? This guy's got too many balls of one color. See a doctor or something.
I must say, my dear man, you look awful.
Yes, I seem to have picked up something rather nasty in Mexico.
I do understand what you've been through. A lesser man would have crumbled. Yet you...
Yes!
This, your great factory, your charities. It is a wonder for one man alone.
It will all be made clear, Professor. But first, a drink.
And another one. God, I am good at pool. Okay, so we're probably coming up to the point that I would consider stopping this video of Machine for Pigs. And believe me, I am conscious of the fact that I have not necessarily said a whole lot about what I think about the game, except that, you know, I did mention more than once that I think it's a really effective game when it comes to telling a horrific story, and particularly the environmental design, like the environments that you're going to come across, straight up like nightmarish, and your own imagination will betray you when it comes to trying to figure out what the purposes of these rooms are. I really have a soft spot for games that are surrounded in kind of like, first off, in this era. And with this wealth, because this is, I guess, around Victorian times or something. You know, they're supposed to be all prim and proper, and everything's, you know, very well mannered and stuff like that. But then something goes terribly wrong. You know, you repress those deep-seated emotions, those carnal desires, and all of a sudden they manifest themselves in, you know, perhaps unfortunate ways. Also, when it comes to horror, you know, small English accented children are basically a shortcut to success. Let's answer this.
Mandus, do you know me?
Who are you? Where are my children?
Trapped, Mandus. Far below us. The machine is fouled. It is breached. It is flooded. The bulkheads are down. The children are engaged. If you help me, I can help you release them. Restore the power, Mandus. Drain the flooding and restart the great engines.
How? Where should I go? Hello? Hello?
One thing that I have not really mentioned that I should mention is the sound, especially like the ambient noises that we will come across when we get down into the machine are, again, I hate to use the word to the point where, you know, it's no longer meaningful or impactful, but seriously nightmarish. I hear that the Chinese room had actually facilitated sounds of horror just from, like, anybody, and then have melded it into a soundscape of sheer terror, the likes of which I've never heard before, and it will have you looking over your shoulder to see what is going on. So, you know, this initial kind of area that we're in here, it's very much kind of a tutorialization, but it's also doing a great job setting the mood. And after this, we'll move on to kind of the meat processing facility where we'll spend a lot of our time. But this is probably where I'm going to cut this video. And I know that there's going to be a lot of dissents over a Machine for Pigs, no question about it. But suffice it to say, if you're someone who enjoyed Gone Home and doesn't mind giving themselves a little bit of a fright, you might want to take a look for this one when it comes out on September 9th, I believe. It's going to be $20 when it initially comes out. I know it lacks a lot of the stuff that a lot of people like about the original Amnesia. I don't know if there's going to be custom stories. I have not had a moment over the course of the game when I, you know, hid in a closet and looked out at a monster that was outside and, you know, tried not to poop my pants. There have been times when I have run across situations that had me basically pooping my pants, but nothing necessarily as gamey as, you know, a stealth mechanic or anything like that. Again, very minimalistic. There's no HUD, no inventory. The puzzles are very simplistic. If you're looking for some kind of challenging puzzles, you're not going to find them here. But if you're looking for an engaging narrative with a decidedly horror bent to it, I would encourage you to check this out. It's kind of unlike any game I've ever played in my entire life. Will I be finishing it? Maybe not, but that's not because I don't think it's a great game. I think it's because... I'm going to poop my pants, and Kate always laughs at me when I get a little bit trembly as I play these. But yeah, Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, there will be a link in the video description below to pick up the game on Steam. If you're interested in the game, stop now, turn back, pick it up for yourself. Please do not ruin it for yourself by watching any more of it. To do a favor for both of us, finish the game yourself, get spooked, enjoy its effectiveness, and then watch people react and scream or not scream and, you know, their impressions and stuff like that. But don't ruin the game for yourself necessarily. But again, I would like to reiterate, just to close out the video, to bookend it. Like whatever content you like, don't drag any riffraff into my comments, and I will be a very, very happy man. I have nothing against people who do horror LPs by any stretch of the imagination. Oftentimes I watch them. I find it pretty funny, and I don't think, you know, there's any need to be self-righteous over the fact that you don't like them, if that makes any sense. But, you know, I've probably already said too much and damned myself throughout this video, but we're all damned. Aren't we, Mandus? As I turn out the light, as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving some support in the form of a like or a civil, positive, or negative comment. I don't care as long as you act like a darned adult. As always, I hope you subscribe if you like the series and you want to see more first impressions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.